open. There's room for everyone. Wherever you're going, wherever you're from, you are home. You are welcome here. 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 Whatever you've been through, you found us somehow. Wherever you are on your journey now, you are home. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Sing with me. You are welcome here. Yeah, that's right. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Oh, you are welcome here. 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 Again. You are welcome here. You are welcome here.
And so good morning to everyone here, and good morning to everyone on Zoom, and good morning to everyone on Facebook all across the world. So everyone is welcome here, whether physically present or whether they are online. Everyone is welcome here. We provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation to support humanity in awakening to their magnificence. And so wherever you are on your spiritual path, know that this is a place where you are encouraged to be yourself, where you are encouraged to express that which is unique to you. Because we honor that we are each individuations of spirit, and so please don't hold back. Bring that special you with you. So with that, I want to make sure that you do know our cell phone policy, and that is if you are here with us, get on that cell phone quietly and invite friends. If you are on Zoom, reach out to other friends, invite friends. Just gather, and same with Facebook. Make sure to tell everybody what's going on at Center for Spiritual Living Metro. Our practitioner of the day, so that you'll know in a little bit, is Sandy Minnesang, and our consciousness holder, that's the person that makes sure that this place is totally prayed up throughout our service, is Josh Plantassel. So at a meeting recently, we were asked if we could reintroduce our meet and greet that we used to do pre-pandemic. And since we can now get close to one another, I invite everyone to stand up, find somebody, give them a hug, and breathe. So I'm going to leave this place so I can go breathe. Collect extras. Yes. You're running away from me. Yes. That barrier to hugs. Yep. Another one, sure. I think so. Yeah. But on purpose.
So you are on this.
Okay. It's kind of like musical chairs. Music stop. Sit down. Hi.
Oh, hi.
You're all tangled up in meeting and greeting. Okay, at this time, I would ask that Jason Mahmoud and Josh and Tassel please come forward
Okay.
and be joined by Sandy Minnesang. Okay. I didn't realize until rather recently that last August, when you two became practitioners, you should have gotten badges. So now, here is your badge.
Thank you so much. Okay.
So, and the reason that Sandy is up here is obviously she has been a practitioner much longer than you have. However, we got the original batch of the original batch of badges for practitioners, and we got them shortly before pandemic. And so Sandy is only able to come down from Delaware, and so she hadn't been down, then pandemic hit. And so 2.5 to 3 years late, how is that? You're official, finally.
Thank you.
Okay. And the other, well, I think for now, because we have a couple of badges for people who aren't here, and so rather than announce them, we'll just hold on to the badges and have that. The other is, I've got to go off camera, and I think that Jason, you're going to want to switch cameras because we're not going to ask him to come up. We are badging our music director. So, with that, I now introduce our practitioner of the day, and that is Sandy Minnesang to take over.
Okie dokie. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to be with you in person. I am with you on Zoom every week, but you don't know that. I just know I can see you, but you can't see me. Anyway, welcome everybody to Center for Spiritual Living Metro. Welcome from Delaware, which is enjoying the same often on-again weather that you are. For our centering today, I was listening to a Karen Drucker CD on my way down here yesterday, and some lyrics to one of her songs struck me as a good centering. As we meet together today, let us see with the eyes of love. Let us hear with the ears of love. Let us speak with the words of love. And as we listen to this music, let us open our hearts to be the love that we are.
I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I
let's close our eyes and go into treatment, our form of affirmative prayer. And yes, we do know who we are. We are sprung from the one life of spirit. We are made out of itself as individualized expressions of itself. Therefore, we are love. We are peace. We are joy. We are one. And so for my reading today, I have chosen first from our founder, Ernest Holmes, in Psalm page 240. He says, emotions do affect the heart. Loving thoughts are for all, I'm sorry, let me say that again. Loving thoughts for all will remove tenseness, stimulate the heart into healthy action, and send new life to every part of the body. And the very early Roman author Plautus said this, spice a dish with love, and it pleases every palate. And we know our topic today is the spice, what's in our spice rack. And so emotions, according to Gary Zukav from Seed of the Soul, emotions reflect intentions. Therefore, awareness of emotions leads to awareness of intentions. And from the group therapy blog on October 21st, 2019, was said, quote, emotions by themselves are neither good nor bad. They are simply reactions. However, the way we act or don't act on our emotions can strongly affect our well-being, and I would add, and sometimes the well-being of others. And so, Reverend Trish, you're going to give us a talk now, right? Okay. On what's in our spice rack.
I can do that. Thank you. So, today's title is, What's on Your Spice Rack? And so,
Speak up, please.
I'm not hearing me on the speaker either. I didn't hear, excuse me, for the side comment. Okay, so,
I'm sorry.
it is so wonderful that we can be so natural and so totally present. And hey, why don't you give us a prayer?
Yes, yeah, the affirmations are on your screens if you're on Zoom or whatever, and you have a handout if you're here in person. And our affirmations. There is a power for good in the universe that is greater than I am, and I am using it now. I am using it to do my part to create a world that works for all. Together we inspire individuals to awaken to their own divinity, and we are here to make a huge difference.
Yay.
And so I will say a prayer to lead us into our Sunday talk.
Okay.
My bad.
You're not good.
No, I'm good. As we go into the silence, knowing who we are, knowing that we are the loving presence of God here on earth with one another, to share our joy, to share our love. And so we come together today with open hearts, open minds, to hear this word that comes through Reverend Trish from Spirit. And we know that as we hear these words, we hear exactly what each of us needs to hear so that we leave today wiser, more loving, more true to who we really are, and knowing the truth of who all others are. And so I know that our being here today is not by chance, it is by divine appointment. And so I know this time together is blessed. And I simply say thank you. Thank you for this teaching. Thank you for each and every person who is here today. Thank you for the message we're about to hear. And I release my word into the law, which always says yes. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
So, take two. The question that was posed as a title for today is, what's on your space, your space Okay, take three. Okay. What's on your spice rack? And it's because emotions and spices have a lot more in common than most people think. But we're going to focus in on what the emotions are, and what the experience of emotions are, and how there is a direct parallel. So, first off, I invite you to just close your eyes for a brief moment and imagine the sensation of anger. Allow it to boil up. Yeah, and sometimes it feels like, oh, I don't want to go there because of, that's not okay. Okay, now imagine the most deep sense of love. And it may be that kind of love that is with your partner. It may be that kind of love that you saw with your firstborn, that you felt. Imagine curiosity. That sort of wow, or how about awe? How about compassion? I'll give you a moment so that you can maybe wander through some other experiences. Sadness. And allow it to well up in you. It's okay. How about joy? Real, just deep down inside joy. I'll give you just a moment for a couple of others, all on your own. Okay. And so I was taught as a child, don't offend, which was a very interesting thing that I would be taught, is don't offend. And that meant don't cause others any discomfort by displaying your moods. It wasn't okay to display moods unless they were nice moods. Now, nice moods I could display anytime I wanted to, and that was fine, but others were not. And others were anything really intense, and that was offensive in this insane, I started saying insane, truly. Okay, in this way that I was taught. And so I was taught to stifle emotions. When you think about, there's a difference between stifling and controlling, okay? It's good, there's merit in controlling your emotions, but in stifling them, in not honoring them, in labeling them as bad, pushing them back, All that does is create a boiling point that someday, somehow, some way is going to find its way out. And emotions can cause an allergic reaction. Now, physiologically, they actually can, but I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is in an allergic response, what happens is our body becomes hysterical on a subject called an allergen. And then it starts overproducing reaction to it. And emotions can do that same thing. Emotions can start triggering, they can shift from being an effect, okay, cause and effect, cause something happen, effect, emotional response. Okay, when we get carried away with emotions, what happens is pretty soon the effect becomes a cause. And the effect becoming a cause incites this circle. And the circle goes round and round until we come to a place of being present with it and say, whoa, no, I have within me the ability to control how I am behaving. I'm not denying them. I'm actually saying, yeah, you're there and you're powerful. And I, the individuation of spirit, am more powerful than any emotional reaction. And that nothing in the emotional field, in that physical field, in that human field, can in any way alter that divine presence. And so we are totally prepared to deal with emotions. Not deny them, not stifle them, but deal with them. And the Hippocratic Oath that doctors take, and a whole lot of us others have also committed to the basic principle, and that is do no harm. It's ahimsa in the Hindu tradition, and that is do no harm to others, but do no harm to self. And that's a really, really critical part of learning to deal with one's own emotions. Because if we stifle, we are actually harming. If we acknowledge and say, hey, I'm the one in control here. I am not handing off my control to this reaction. I am choosing my response to any given situation, and I am taking, even if it's a nanosecond, a breath, a break, so that I say, oh yes, yeah, I'm in control here. This individuation of spirit is in control here. So now we get into the parallel of what's on your spice rack. Okay. I enjoy cooking, and I like to do creative things and adventurous things, and I like to go out on the and this idea of recipe books, they're great idea sources. But creativity really needs to take over. The idea that you do 1/8 of a teaspoon or a pinch of that or whatever, that's just so limiting to put controls on it like that. And so my way of approaching anything to do with cooking is creatively. And so in cooking, you want to achieve a balance. How you use your spices. Well, there's a big parallel in metaphysics of we want to be in balance, we want to be aware, we want to be alert, we want to be involved, we want to be all these other things, and we are, we are the ones putting all these ingredients in there. And so adventurous cooking means risk taking. And there's the opportunity to learn and grow, and those are very metaphysical principles. Those are what we teach. And on some occasions, I've been a little closer to the mad scientist in the kitchen instead of just the cook. But dropping back to the ancient value of this balance, in the Ayurvedic tradition, ancient Hindu, they say a meal is not complete unless it has 6 specific ingredients or effects on you. And those are, there must be a sweet, there must be a sour, there must be a salty, there must be a spicy, there must be a bitter to tantalize, and astringent, because astringent sensation in the mouth calls us together so that it is even more hypersensitized to this beautiful blend of flavors. Okay, well, spices go a long way, and in my early adventures, I learned the hard way about some spices that are really good when in balance, like tarragon is terrible, absolutely terrible overdosed. Oh, it is just absolutely terrible overdosed. And oregano, you know, we love it on pizza, we love it in Italian dishes. You overwhelm with oregano, you get some of that astringent, and your mouth has trouble getting itself pulled apart and able to taste anything else. Oh, and anise. Now there's another one that if you happen to overdose on anise, the sensations in the mouth, because it is actually sweet, and yet it is not in my, you know, in most experience. And so when you get too much anise, you get this confusion in your sensory system that says, oh, well, you know, I can't go over there because that's sweet, but it isn't. And so there's confusion. Well, that's true with most herbs, and some are flavoring herbs and some are medicinal herbs, and so you have all these different categories. And so early on, I learned that on other things, too much salt can happen quite accidentally. Did you know that if you put several potatoes in whatever you're cooking, even if you're going to take them out later, they'll take the salt out? Because they'll absorb the salt, and then you can discard the potatoes because they'd be awful with that much salt in them. But you can do things. The same is really true with hot chilies. And so my question to you is, what calms emotions? What acts like a potato in your emotional package? You never thought about that, you know, using a potato to calm. But think about, actually, potatoes act on the pineal gland. And because they act on the pineal gland, they can subdue a hyperactive child. You just stuff them full of potatoes and they calm down just fine. So, been there, done that one too. And speaking of things and adventures in cooking. Okay, I have it's not a very long story, but it's well worth telling. My mother was actually a very good cook in most areas. However, she could do things to fish that were appalling. I mean, how could you take a perfectly innocent piece of fish and have it come out awful? But she managed, and she did it repeatedly. And she tried different kinds of fish, and I mean, they all had the same outcome. And so part of my adventures in cooking was I decided I was going to become really good at cooking fish, all different kinds of fish. And so I had experimented quite successfully, learning to do, you know, the standards of sole and flounder and all these nice mild things. And one Good Friday, now you gotta allow, this was Catholic time. Okay, one Good Friday, of course, it had to be fish. And so I was in the store and there was a fish I had never seen before. Actually, I don't think I've seen it since, but anyway. What it was a grouper, but that wasn't just enough. I didn't know that if you knew what you were looking at, you would have recognized that it was salted grouper. So I got home, and here's one of the ones where I went to my recipe book and looked it up, because when I saw that word salted on it, I thought, oh, maybe I better find out what that is. And so I went and I found, and you had to soak it for a while to get some of this brine out of it. So I did. And then I did the dastardly thing of putting it in the pan and heating it. Okay. Never in my life have I smelled a smell like that fish. That I took it out of the pan and I thought, so Good Friday, we can fast. the other thing that you need to know is at the time I lived on a small ranch, and so there was plenty of acreage out beyond. Okay. So I opened all the windows in the house, and it was cold. It was Easter in a high altitude. And so I opened all the windows and turned on any fan that I could think of, because this smell had, I swear, had been absorbed into the walls. So I thought, okay, the solution is take it outside. Well, I did, and the dog brought it back in. So I took it outside, and I dug a hole, and I buried it. And I thought, the wind's blowing through, it's colder and all to get out in this house, but, okay, we can fast. And the next thing I knew, I could smell that smell, and I thought, oh God, it's in my nose, in my imagination. Only it wasn't. It was lying there on the kitchen floor again, only this time it had dirt on it, because they dug it up. And so the memories of Good Friday grouper are real special. Okay. So when things get out of hand, where do you go? Do you go into panic? Do you let the emotion carry you out? And I was doing, oh no, I'm not going to get emotional about this. I'm going to be totally logical with what I do with the blank fish. And I just the farther I went, the worse it got. I finally ended up bagging it and putting it in the freezer, because I knew the dogs couldn't dig it up. Okay, so we have to look at how we deal with crisis, how we deal with situations, how we cope with whatever is going on. And that's where we call on this beautiful resource called emotions. Emotions allow us to feel, they allow us to laugh, they allow us to be engaged. And when we go back and look at some of us who were told we had to stifle, deny, not only, what was interesting was not only deny the emotion, the powerful emotion, it was deny any reaction to pain. Because a lot of times those two were tied together. And so if there was emotional pain, that wasn't okay, but that also rolled over and said, no expression of intense emotion. Well, that means no expression of pain. And so here's where we need to really say, hey, wow, this thing called emotion is a huge resource for us. It is just amazing how we can draw on them, and we can balance them like we do the herbs and the tastes and the sweet and the sour in our cooking. We can look at what is rising up in me, what is naturally arising within me. Is it compassion? Okay. Or is it anger? They both serve their purpose. Anger is not a bad thing. Anger says there's something that isn't in alignment with how I am, with what I believe, with my values. And that's good. When we are running our lives using our anger, not when we are allowing our emotions to run us, like allowing our anger to run us. And so that's that place of balance, like with the herbs and seasonings. When we say, hey, wow, this anger can motivate me to go take a stand on something or whatever, this is good. This is a good use of anger. Anger that causes me to do harm, to go against ahimsa, to go against the Hippocratic Oath, that's not. And because we are divine beings, we have the ability to observe how our emotions are showing up in our lives. And there are ways to use them, and there are ways to abuse with them. And so how are we using them? We get to choose. It's a constant matter of choice. And Nelson Mandela said how precious words are and how real speech is in its impact on the way people live and die. And so how do we convey our emotion? How do we share our emotion? How, for instance, do we choose to be present with someone at a time of crisis, knowing that there's nothing for us to say, but our presence shifts how they are experiencing it. As Maya Angelou said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. We feel our way through life. And so how can we consciously, conscientiously cause a difference in the experience of someone else? It may simply be to be in silence with them, to accompany them in one of the aspects of being a hospice chaplain or volunteer. Okay, we just companion. There's nothing to fix, there's nothing to change. In that case, the outcome is known. It's only a question of time. And so being that radiant part of companioning makes a world of difference for them. They know we care. And so it's time to look, it's funny. Sometimes when I talk about changing one's life, it's like there's something broken or something that needs fixing. I don't want to go there. Where I want to go is we change every time we grow. We change every time we observe ourselves in our interactions with others. And when we shift to have a different outcome, that's a change. And so when we are addressing change, begin now. Don't say, oh, I'm going to change next week. Yeah, that would be a great time to do it because right now I'd rather just be in my emotions. Okay, no. Change now, begin now, be bold about it. Because if you're wussy about it, if you're less than bold about it, odds are you'll kind of fall back into an old habit. It's just easier, you won't make waves in your own life, it's the old habit. Okay, and don't give yourself any slack. And so begin now, be bold, and don't give yourself any slack. Do it. Every time, every day, every moment in this new now moment, there is an opportunity to shift, to change, to gather, to strengthen. And so do it. Do it now. A fellow by the name of Grillet, the closing line in the beautiful poem is, I shall do it now, I shall not defer it, for I shall not pass this way again. You can't pass the same way again, so do it now. And so I invite you into a just little mini meditation. So get settled. I found this quote, and then we're going to work with it a little. What would it be like if each day, each breath, you perceived yourself as a work in progress? Consciously perceived yourself that way. Imagine that you are a masterpiece unfolding every second of every day, a work of art taking form with every breath. Now just allow your imagination to unfurl for a moment or two. And as you are doing it, affirm to yourself, I am a masterpiece. And then allow your thoughts to unfurl further. And whatever comes up, I am a masterpiece. Feel a shift in honoring yourself in this way. Has kind of a wow to it, doesn't it? I am a masterpiece. So breathe in real deeply and anchor that so that you'll practice it over and over, all different times. Lots of opportunities to do that. And then gently bring your attention back here. And the thought had occurred to me, of course you're a masterpiece. You are a piece of the master. Yeah. We all are. We are individuations of spirit. And we are imbued with everything we could possibly need to create the life that causes our hearts to blossom and causes us to be more and more contagious in inviting others to have this experience, in sharing how it is to remember you are a masterpiece. We all are. And so it is. So I think, thank you, we've got some music.
Life is brilliant, so resilient. Life is simply infinitely magic. Open your eyes, you'll see the way to let your life be magic every day. Life is special when it's love-filled. Life is simply infinitely magic. Open your heart, you'll feel the way to let your life be magic every day. Life's a treasure, yeah, you can clap. Such a pleasure. You can stand and clap. Life is simply infinitely magic. Open your mind, you'll know the way to let your life be magic every day. Life is splendor, sweet surrender. Life is simply infinitely magic. Open your life, you'll find a way to let your life be magic. To let your life be magic. To let your life be magic every day. Every day.
Thank you, wonderful music team.
Thank you.
And now it's time for us to share our treasure. And we have several ways of doing that, so CSL, etc. And I think if you're on Zoom or Facebook, you can see the various ways. You can do it through a PayPal way on going to our website. You can do it thank you. I do it all the time, and yet I can't think of it. Givelify, and the way to do that is on your device. Or we certainly accept checks, and the address for that is on your device also. So, while you're taking care of that, I think we have another piece of music, right?
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all the blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power. God gives me everything I need. Oh, I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
And so please join with me in our prosperity blessing. I know that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously share my supply with this spiritual center. And so I bless the collection today. I know that it goes out to bless everybody that it contacts, all the ways that it spreads our word and serves the community and out into the world. And so we are thankful. We're thankful for all of the gifts of time, talent, and treasure that our center receives. And now I guess it's announcement time, isn't it?
Leave something. Yes, leave me something. Okay, so it's time for announcements. And next week we have a guest speaker from Arizona. And so pretty obviously we are going to be in virtual. We're going to be online. And that's Reverend Rhonda Tretzman. And her title is, and it's Mother's Day next week, and so her title is Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, and that's really quite intriguing. Anyway, so, and then if you have a desire for prayer, we have several people here who are eminently well qualified to do prayer with you today. And online, you are welcome to let it be known just through the chat, and we will arrange for you to have a session with a practitioner. And other than that, it looks like it's time for, I give myself permission.
To be passionate and free.
stand, and you have in one form or another look it up so we can all read it together, the closing affirmation. And so, together, I
leave this place now, knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a great way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me, and so it is.
And so thank you to all who are here. Thank you to all who have been with us on Zoom and on Facebook. Have a fabulous weekend.